Carl, can you hear us? These aren't lit up.
You can hear us. Can you hear us clearly?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, just, text me or wave if you're having fun. All right, for those who want to just pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Thank you. All right, it is 5:34 on December 8th, and I'll call this regular meeting of the Board of Trustees to order. Roll call, please, Derek.
Okay, trustee Halverson. Here. Trustee Wakefield, not here. Trustee Schnicker. Carl.
Here, sorry.
Trustee Gardner.
Here.
Trustee George. Here. Mayor Pro Tem Harper. Here. Mayor Craig.
Here. Do we have any staff or board revisions to the agenda? Do you want me to go over them or do you want to go over them?
I don't. I think mine's the only one for the sergeant station.
Great, yep, so we'll note for the record that we have issued to the business items for discussion of the DCFC charging station. So that's now 7A. And then you'll note in the consent agenda that we have a press release for the town administrator finalists. So there's a press release for the public administrator. That's now in the consent agenda. And then there were just some administrative changes to a couple other items in this packet that are different than the packet you have seen for in the week. So noted for the record, changes in the consent agenda and changes to business item 7. Hey. Any other revisions to the agenda? All right, we will now open up for public comment. So if you're here for the public hearing on the budget, or if you have a public comment related to the budget, I would save that for the public hearing later, so it can be included in the record. But if you have any other public comment, you're welcome to make it now. And if we have presenters, you can wait till later. But you can come to the mic, introduce yourself, to have 3 minutes. And if you're online and like to make a public comment, you can click the raise hand button and we'll promote you. Okay.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Benmu. I'm with Helios Charging and trustees. Really appreciate you taking the time this evening. About 2 years ago, we worked really closely with Lucy and all members of the town to submit an application to the Colorado Energy Office, and we were awarded that grant in March of 24. So it's absolutely amazing to be here this evening. Really appreciate everyone's work, John and Bevan and Lucy and Steve and folks from SMPA as well. So I'm going to be here to answer any questions that come up as with the discussion. But again, just want to introduce myself and thank you very much for considering this. And it's been a long road. We're really excited to be here this evening. So thank you. Thanks.
Great. Again, I noticed for the record, we will be talking about the charging stations later on in the agenda. Yeah, go ahead.
Mark, it's 1414 Reed Street. It is on the agenda, public hearing for change to the preservation ordinance. So I don't know if you want me to wait or.
Yeah, so if it is a public hearing for that one, it kind of behooves you to wait for that discussion, so it's kind of included in the record there. Yeah, so you're talking about the public hearing for the review of decision making box. Yeah, thank you. If you're able to. All right, doesn't look like we have any more in-person public comment. Do we have any public comment on Zoom? Again, you click the raise hand button and you'll be promoted to panelist. And again, if you have anything related to the public hearings on the agenda, I encourage you to wait for that period.
Looks like we may have one.
Great.
Surprise, it's me.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure where you are on the hiring process, but I wanted to give you the thought that you should not try to hire a clone. We need to hire someone that's going to come in with fresh eyes and a fresh view and point out things that we could be doing better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Do we have other public comment on Zoom? Again, you can click the raise hand button and we'll promote you to panelist.
I do not see anybody else.
All right, we'll close public comment, and again, we will have public comment hearings related to the public hearings later in the agenda. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. There's a number of items in there, and again, for the public listening, there is a press release in there about the town administrator position. And the main update for everyone, you can read it in the press release, is that the Board of Trustees has narrowed it down to 3 candidates. They will be in town on the 18th and the 19th of December, and there will be a community meet and greet on Thursday, December 18th at Kendall Rec Center from 5 to 6:30. That will give anyone in the community a chance to meet with the 3 finalists, ask questions, and there'll be an opportunity to give some anonymous feedback if you'd like to, for the board to consider through the hiring process. And then interviews will be taking place on Friday, the 19th for most of the day. That will be an executive session of the Board of Trustees. And we will also have a small panel of community members, staff representatives to participate in the interview as well. So check the consent agenda for that. Any questions or comments on the consent agenda?
3 great candidates, looking forward to it.
All right, I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
A second. Moved by Amy, second by Lindsay, roll call please, Derek.
Okay, trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Schnicker,
Yes.
trustee Gardner,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Franklin.
Yes. Great. Thanks, Derek, and let me know if at any time I'm going too fast.
No, you're good.
Appreciate you pitching in here. And Melina, feel free to jump in at any time. We appreciate you being here. I don't even know what time it is there.
Thanks. Sorry, I was having some issues getting in, but we're here. I'm only 2 hours ahead. It's not bad. It's fine. All good.
Okay.
Thank you.
And let us know if you can't hear us online.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, moving on to agenda item 5, staff report. Any questions, comments from the board on the staff reports? Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I think, sorry, I was a little late on that. We're talking about the rate changes later, right?
So the fee schedule
Sorry.
is later.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me ask this question. So we were talking about the fee schedule later, but under staff reports, there
Yeah.
is the memo on the bookings.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, and Steve's on, you can go ahead and unmute him there, Derek, if you want. Yeah, so we're talking about the fee schedule later,
Yeah.
but I think this is kind of overall general, if we want to give staff direction related to the, in the bottom. Both the 25% discount, the U-Ray student passes, and the 3-day minimum. Go ahead, Nancy.
No, that all makes sense, especially the student discount or the student passes. And the 3-day minimum, I guess I kind of understand. I think Steve maybe would be helpful is like. We had a lot of brides come to us last year and be a little upset. About the changes, and so I'm just trying to think of if we're gonna run into the same scenario again with the recommendation for a 3-day minimum.
Steve, do you want to unmute?
Yes, so this would be not applying to the current rentals. This is any future rental, is my understanding.
Which would help.
Perfect,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. We were
So
talking about-
really it's trying to focus on 2027 and it wouldn't affect any of the past rentals, is my understanding. Yeah.
I guess my only question is that are people gonna be less inclined to rent it, they have to rent it for 3 days for a wedding they're gonna have on one day?
Did you had good feedback?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, we had our wedding too. It is really tough to just go for 1 day, even 2 days after a wedding, meeting everything up that night. I think the 3 days are really helpful, and I personally don't think it would affect some rental stuff.
And we don't typically, we're not able to squeeze 2 events in one weekend anyway, right?
Yeah, so It just, I think it gives some flexibility to people renting and things, too clean on the following hours.
We had a good discussion in our facilities and parks meeting kind of about that, is that it's just looking historically, it's pretty common for people to want 3 days anyways, like trying to force people to clean the night, like it just kind of ensures that everybody has a better experience while paying for the full weekend that's gonna kind of be used anyways.
Yeah.
So.
This is also a requirement that we used to enforce. We used to enforce a 3-day rental so that people had time to set up, have their event, and then time to break down and clean the facility properly before we sent in our staff cleaners.
Thanks, Amanda. Yeah, and feel free to chime in. So I'm hearing general agreement with the 3-day, with the recommendation on the memo for the 3-day minimum.
And it doesn't affect anything on the books.
Correct. Yeah, great. We're just applying, Steve, just please make sure it applies to future bookings. We're not calling any bookings and telling them these new requirements.
Right.
We want to apply to future bookings.
Yes.
Yeah, and then, okay, then we're talking about the discount. So in the memo there is giving a discount when renting to facilities.
Yes, and the idea behind that is trying to, I guess, increase demand for some of these other facilities that aren't being rented as often, and create sort of this package idea that it's not just Kendall, you've got these other options. And so that idea came about.
From the board, I mean, Tyler, you've done different events. Do you see this as helpful to kind of try to promote more of our facilities for rentals?
Yeah, I mean, we do one big event that we do meet several different venues, so, I think that, you know, the more of those that come in, it could be more attractive to try and use more of the town's, you know, I guess, event centers, but, yeah. I don't know, we only do one, so.
Yeah. I mean, I could see you could market it, so hey, have your rehearsal dinner party at Anisi and then have your wedding in Kendall, or, you know.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I think it's give it a good go for a marketing idea.
Anybody opposed?
You know, I think
All right.
trying to try and see how it works is a great idea.
Great, all right, Steve, it sounds like there's support for that idea, and then the third memo under staff reports would be the URA students Kendall Pass. Do you want to speak to that a little bit, Steve?
Sure. Yeah, this kind of came about with the just how you raised kind of welcomed Silverton students into sort of their hashtag is one team, one dream, and thought it'd be a nice way to sort of offer something back to URA, as well as a potential for, you know, there's the idea of generating revenue from whomever the caregivers are transporting these students over. You know, maybe make ticket sales, pass sales out of that, and then just allow some of the relationships that have begun in Pee Wee basketball, middle school basketball, to just continue. And brought this idea to the Facilities and Parks Committee, and it was well received there. And so wanted to go through this route, as it's a similar route to the school passes here. Yeah.
Thanks, Steve. You know, just from a parent perspective, I think this is a really genius idea, because the more that we can get our local kids connecting with surrounding regions is just great. And so if their friends in URA have a reason to come up to Silverton and have that reason for their parents to drive them over the pass, which they don't always love to do. I see this as a really big win for not a lot of dollar amount. And to Steve's point too, I think you can get some of you get families coming. Yeah, I think that's
Spending money on businesses and time.
I still really like the idea that we get Silverton, we do an exchange, we get some Silverton kids to get passes to the URA swimming pool.
Ooh, that would be great.
It's the first step, yes, first step, so maybe 1 year we could do a little bit of an exchange where URA kids get Kendall tickets and Silverton kids get swimming. So here are regional resources.
Great idea.
Any questions on this or suggestions? No, okay, great, I'm seeing thumbs up, Steve.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Anything else from staff reports? Which are the big ones? Okay. Moving on to, we don't have any presentations or proclamations, but we have a lot of business items, so buckle up, everybody. All right, so we have a number of public hearings. Much of what we're gonna be doing in the meeting is related to the budget and kind of end of year budget housekeeping. And so budget is our biggest policy document that we pass, so it's good to pay attention to it. We've had multiple discussions thus far on the budget, so this is where we've got to. All right, we're gonna move on to agenda item 7A. This is a public hearing for resolution 2025-34, a resolution appropriating additional sums of money to defray expenses in excess of amounts budgeted for the town of Silverton, Colorado. We'll start with the staff overview. We'll open it up to public comment on this item, and then we'll close public comment and have trustee discussion and deliberation and decisions. So, Melina, I will pass it to you.
Excellent. And this is an extremely routine proceeding that we do every year. Most of you will remember this from last year. I'm finding my page here. Give me just one moment. And this is pertaining to our current budget for 2025. This is not to do with budget for 2026. And we have so many pages in this.
No worries. Yep, I think
Yeah.
page 96. It's a very big packet.
Yeah, huge packet. Come on. Let's get there.
Oh, sorry, maybe, yeah. Right.
Okay. Okay. All right. And so as you can see, these were the expenses that were not accounted for, that the projections ended up higher in the general fund, Mullis fund, and water fund for 2025. And in order to move on and pass the budget for 2026, this is a routine resolution that we have to pass every year, just acknowledging these items in our budget for last year or this year.
Questions from the board on these expenses? Routine. Okay, well, I would entertain a motion. Oh, yeah, sorry, thank you. Staff decision, thank you, sorry. Thank you, all. Please sound listen. So we'll now open up for public comment on this public hearing related to this budget item. We'll take in-person public comment first, and then we'll go to Zoom. If you're on Zoom and you'd like to make a public comment, please click the raise hand button. Do we have any public comment related to this public hearing? All right, it doesn't look like we have any in person. Do we have any online?
I do not see anybody raising their hand at all.
Okay, we'll close public comment and we'll move on to trustee discussion and deliberation.
I will make a motion to approve resolution 2025-34. Second.
Great, motion by Tyler, second by Jim. Roll call please, Derek.
Trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Schnicker,
Yes.
trustee Gardner,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Cranker.
Yes. Great, thank you. Motion passed. All right, we're now moving on to resolution 2025-35. This is a resolution adopting the 2026 budget and setting forth the expenditures and revenues for each of the various funds of the town of Silverton for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2026, and then December 31st, 2026. This is not a public hearing, but I will pass it over to staff review.
And you will have noticed in the last draft that you got of the budget before you made it to today, in review with the accountant, there were some things that needed to be changed, and so our general fund revenues and expenditures are a little bit different than that last draft, but we are still in a balanced budget. And if you have any specific questions about any of these items, then please let me know.
Thanks, Lena. questions from the board. So you have the overall revenue and expenditures for each fund on the first couple of pages. And then you have the whole review of the budget narrative. Again, for any public and community members who are interested in the budget narrative, I encourage you to look in the packet. There's kind of the message of the approach that we've taken this year. The board, if you've been listening in previous meetings, the board has really focused on passing a balanced budget, having appropriate reserves for future unpredictability, and investing in staff and investing in our infrastructure. So that's been a really high priority. And we worked really hard to stabilize some of our funds, which has given us some flexibility to pay off our loan with USDA that's gonna be coming due and to invest in a water meter project. So you can find more of those details in the budget narrative. And if you have public comment related to this later, you can stick around. We'll have public comment at the end of the meeting. But any questions from the board on the bulky budget document?
Questions.
Comments?
And my state, only statement is that we worked really hard on this. And it was difficult, considering the fluctuations within the economy and balancing out what we needed for facilities. Deferred maintenance and continued, they just stopped.
Operations?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Along with the state change.
Yeah.
Like,
Correct.
and greater fall, so.
I hear some wins in there.
Oh, yeah.
Our compensation, review, I think is a win. The COLA raises is a win, so being able to meet staff where they need to be. I'm sure doesn't feel like a win for everyone in town, but I think it was the best. A balanced job this year.
And I think, again, for community members that I know feel squeezed with some of the fee increases, I think a real thing to celebrate is that we didn't have to raise rates again this go around.
Yeah.
To accommodate the payoff of the USDA loan, right? Like, so to do the street relining that you've been noticing all around town, these guys are still working. Relining the collection system, sewer collection system. And to do that project, it involved over $2 million loan. And so the payments on that are coming due. And we've been able to afford those payments with the rate increases that we already foresaw and implement. So I think that is a really big success as well. Any other thoughts or comments or pontifications anybody would like to make on the budget that we got to this year?
We'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-35. Resolution adopting the 2026 budget and setting forth the expenditures and revenues for each of the various funds of the town of Silverton, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2026 and ending December 31st, 2026.
Second.
Motion by Tyler, seconded by Amy. Roll call please, Derek?
And trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Stanford,
Yes.
trustee Gardner,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Kranker.
Yes. And I just wanted to give a really great public acknowledgement to Melina for getting this all buttoned up. I know Gloria thankfully deferred her start date with the salt to get us in a good place, but I just really appreciate Melina, all your work to get us in here. Melina and Derek and I had a lot of back and forth this weekend, and so I just really appreciate your efforts to get us to this point. Managing these budgets, making sure all the numbers are correct, managing the various Excel spreadsheets is not easy. So thank you, Melina, for your work to make sure it's accurate and reflects the numbers, and Derek for your work to really get this packet set. So thank you, staff.
Thank you, Dana.
All right, moving on to agenda item 7C. This is a resolution 2025-36. A resolution appropriating sums of money to the several offices, departments, boards, and other spending agencies of the town of Silverton in the amounts and for the purposes set forth herein for fiscal year 2026. And again, I will pass this over to Melina.
Again, this is one of our routine resolutions that we're required to pass every year. This breaks down Just a little bit more in detail, the current operating expenses, capital outlay, and debt service, and total fund of each one of the funds that you have before you. And so, just like the last resolution, this one just breaks down each one of our funds in a little bit more detail. Yeah, and again, just a routine resolution that we're required to pass each year.
Thanks, Maria. And there, one quick note, do we have, Clayton on?
We do, hold on.
Great. I was just realizing, I was like, oh, we need to come up with this. We're working through all these things. Clayton, apologies that we just promoted you to panelist. Thanks for joining us. If you have any comments to make on anything we've discussed so far, please feel free, but we're working through some techno changes here.
Okay, roger that. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, any questions from the board on this resolution? Or the numbers? No.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-36, a resolution appropriating sums of money to several offices, departments, boards, and other spending agencies of the town of Silverton and amounts and for purposes set forth herein fiscal year 2026. Second.
Okay, motion by Lindsay, seconded by Amy. Roll call, please, sir.
Okay, trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Schneider,
Yes.
trustee Gardner,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Cranker.
Yes. Great, thank you, team. All right, agenda item 7D, resolution 2025-37, a resolution to certify and levy the 2026 mill levies for the general fund of the town of Silverton. And again, I'll pass it to Melina.
Again, this is another resolution that we're required to pass each year. As you all know, the new cap that on property tax that was passed by the last county election has affected this number. I believe our accountants did recommend that we add into the resolution the possibility that we might not be affected by this permanently, and that it might only be a 1-year cap. But for the time being, this has lowered our collection to this 9.777% of our mills, and that's broken down there in your memo and also in the resolution. But again, this is routine, and it's all based on the certification of values that was given to me by Kim Buck.
Thanks, Lena. And again, just noting for the record, so at the state level through the governor, there was some effort to do some property tax relief. And the question is how that actually affects our mill levy. So that's why we have it at this level this year, but there's still more questions to be answered around how is these new laws at the state level related to property tax collection tax apply to Silverton.
And you'll notice in the resolution itself at the bottom here, this net tax of 9.777 mils upon each dollar of the total valuation for assessment may be a temporary 1-year reduction. That was what our accountants recommended that we add in case there is a way that we can continue to collect what we've been collecting, because otherwise we will have to hold a taper election to go back to the 10.56% that we were at before. And so even if we can't raise it back, if we are affected, that does kind of protect us a little bit just in case we are able to go back.
And this is the reason why the accountant is suggesting this is that because back in 1995, the town opted out of any imposed tax caps on this, and so
right.
That's it. This is the 9.777% is the amount that they're recommending that is the mill levy this year, but we're not clear if that will be what it will be going forward.
Because after taper was passed, we
opted out after that. So it seems like we still haven't been able to get an answer kind of from the accounting, legal, and assessment side of how this law applies.
And she recommended that we add that clause in case we are able to be exempt, if we are able to be exempt because of the 1995 election, if we put that in there, if we include that clause that it might be temporary, we won't have to hold a Tabor election in order to raise the percentage back to 10.56%.
Would that be something we find out like this year, or is that still like next year?
It's something that we should have answers on here very, very soon. I have both of our accountants working and I've been communicating with Clayton on what this is going to look like. But I feel like having that in there just protects us a little bit. So even if we are stuck at this 9.777%, that's fine. But if there is a way that we can move back to 10.56%, then this is saying that she recommended that by acknowledging that it could be temporary, that will protect us in the long run.
I think part of it is because we have to meet the deadline and our passing this resolution today.
Right.
Yeah, so that's like, for a while, that's what I think they're going. Okay. It's how legislation trickles down to the local level. What does this actually mean? Well, nobody can tell. I'd also note administrative edit that, the packet says December 2024, and so we just need to send it. On page 151. I know, Melina, we worked so hard. I'm with you. So, noted administratively that it should be December, 8th day of December 2020. Okay, any other questions from the board on the mill levy? Hey, I'd entertain a motion to pass resolution 2025-37, a resolution to certify and levy the 2026 mill levies for the general fund of the town of Silverton.
Second.
Moved by Amy, seconded by Lindsay. Roll call please, Derek.
Trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Schnicker,
Yes.
trustee Gardner,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Cranker.
Yes. Great, thank you. Thanks, and thanks, Lynn, for your work on that. We'll look forward to hear what else we learn on our mill levy. All right, moving on to 7E, resolution 2025-38, resolution designating a public place for the posting meeting notices for the town of Silverton, Colorado for the 2026 calendar year. Back to you, Melina. Thank you.
Once again, this is one that we're required to pass every year, and this is just allowing us to continue to use the front door of Town Hall as our official place to post our meeting agendas and utilizing the online platforms that we do to notice meetings to the community and to all of you. And so again, a routine resolution.
Anyone?
We'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-38, the resolution designating a public place for posting meeting notices for the town of Silverton, Colorado for the 2026 calendar year.
Second.
Moved by Tyler, seconded by Lindsay. Roll call please.
Trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Schnicker,
Yes.
trustee Gardner,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Cranker.
Yes. Great, thank you. Okay, we're now moving on to town fees. This is resolution 2025-39 for our fee schedule. So you'll notice the fee in the packet, we have the whole listing of the fee schedule and then the resolution. So questions, comments from the board, or Melina, anything you wanted to highlight here?
I don't think so. I left this with Derek to gather all of our edits for this year. And so Derek, if you have any insight that you would like to add, then now's the time.
Gotcha. I think the only major changes were slight lift ticket access changes. We're talking about kind of single dollar amounts. Steve wanted to break it out into holiday rate and window ticket rate versus online and advance rate. So I think the advance rate is the same as years prior, and window tickets a couple dollars higher. So, and then I think we also are not honoring Hesperus pass holders anymore for free access because Hesperus does not operate as a ski area. So
Unfortunately, right.
just this. Those are the only changes though that I'm So.
Thanks, Dan. Questions from the board on the fee schedule?
I think my only note was like a little bit, but on the like pre-season pass, it wasn't clear when those actually go on sale, you know? It was like I don't really want to include that here, but we have general. Sure.
Yeah, so Steve, some little bit of feedback in regards to whether we put it on the fee schedule or it's on the website somewhere of when the preseason passes go on sale, what the time frame is for something to be preseason. Or early bird.
That was just kind of in flux as to when we got things live and Fair Harbor understood. And had thoughts of that Thanksgiving week being preseason with December 1 being live for passes. And I need to just connect with Derek on when we do that, but wanted to offer people have reached out expressing interest in getting their preseason. And so still don't have that nailed down. And we'll take this as feedback for more clarity on the website and in communications going out.
Great, thanks, Steve. Amy, did you have any other questions on the fee schedule? Okay, any other questions? I'll note too that we're continuing to preserve the nonprofit and the local rate, right? That hasn't gone away. So while we have higher fee schedules, especially for rentals for folks that are non-local and locals defined that registered to vote in Salem County, we're definitely offering that much more competitive rate and a variety of nonprofit benefits.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2025-39 to approve the fee schedule.
A second. Motion by Amy, second by Lindsay. Roll call please.
And trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Schnicker,
Yes.
trustee Garden,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Prinker.
Yes. All right, now to agenda item 7G. This is a public hearing. It's not budget related, so thank you to all those who sat through budget items. This is the first reading of ordinance 2025-14. This is an ordinance of the town of Silverton amending chapter 15, article 8, section 15-8-10, review and decision-making bodies of the Silverton Municipal Code regarding the appointment and removal of historic preservation committee members. So as a public hearing, we'll hear from staff, from Clayton, and then we will have public comment, close public comment, and then we'll have trustee discussion and deliberation. So Clayton, I will pass this to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The synopsis here is that currently committee members on the Historic Preservation Committee are treated much like town officers and other appointees of the board, wherein they're can be removed only for just cause. That is an ordinance that we passed in years past because well, I don't know exactly why, but it's on the books. The statute is silent, and so we can form and direct how these committees are administered and the procedures regarding the requirements of the body, terms, appointment, removal, etc. And so this, I was tasked to rewrite the ordinance in order to allow the committee members to serve at the pleasure of the board and remove the language, or not remove, but add additional language to allow for discretionary decision-making by the Board of Trustees as to what the makeup of that Historical Preservation Committee is. So there's more details in the overview, pending your questions.
Thanks, Clayton. That's staff presentation. Lucy, did you have anything you wanted to add here? I know you're on, you've been connected to this, but I also know you're probably online for other items as well. So wanted to give you the staff option to share in the comment, and then we'll go to, public comment. Yeah, go ahead, Lucy.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, nothing really to add to what Clayton said, but as we're going through the land use code and identifying topics that need to be changed or updated to best practices, this was just one of the ones we identified.
Great, thank you. All right, that's our presentation. We'll now move on to public comment. So if you have public comment related to this item, you're welcome to come to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes and the Tiffany.
Madam Mayor, trustees, staff, I'm Mark Revis, 1414 Reese Street. Of course, I'm always concerned about historic preservation because it's so important to our town. I was questioning the language in the ordinance of for any reason. It's hard to have people serve on committees. And just like a consideration that I think it seems slightly harsh for any reason. So justification, something on the line that justifies why somebody would not be appropriate for the committee. I understand you want to change things, but it also could impact the CLG aspect. I just want to make sure everything is going even. And that if you do serve on a committee, that person has some confidence when they make a difficult decision, that they can make that decision. And of course, it's always up to the trustees. Somebody can appeal a decision of the committee. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Do we have any other public comment in person or online related to the public hearing? Again, if you're online and want to make public comment, you can click the raise hand button and we'll promote you to panelist.
No one is raising their hand.
Okay, we'll close public comment. All right, great. So hearing that, we'll move on to trustee discussion and deliberations. So board members, questions for staff, comments based on public comment and thoughts. Lucy and Clayton, one question I had for you based off the public comment is, does changing the language in this way to be kind of forever, for any reason, affect the certified local government application or status? Is this in line with kind of certified local government approach to historic review committees, or is there more we need to know about?
Well, for your first question, I think I want to be clear as to kind of identify what we're talking about. The language is that you can remove for just cause, which is well defined because it's a normal, it's a phrase that's been heavily litigated and there's case law around it, etc., or for other good cause, which gives you even more leeway. And then the phrase isn't for any reason, it's for without cause and its discretion. And so the board can determine based on a number of things to remove a member of the committee. Sometimes it could be for a reason that they haven't risen to the level of just cause. There's no inefficiency, neglect, or malfeasance. However, the committee member maybe just doesn't understand their role or is doing something that's inadvertently or intentionally harmful to the public health, safety, and welfare of the community and its members. And so it's really not just, it can be for any reason, but it's not meant to be used willy-nilly, like for personal reasons. It's typically just to give the board, just like in all forms of government at all levels. The Joint Chiefs of Staff of the United States serve at the pleasure of the president. And so committee members who are appointed by the board, a lot of other local governments have determined that it also makes sense that those appointees can be removed in the same way as they're appointed, meaning at the pleasure of the board. And so I just wanted to clarify that the language isn't necessarily for any reason. And often these determinations are not made in a vacuum and they require discussion and deliberation amongst the board. But to start with that, I'd say this is very common. There's a lot of municipalities that all committee members, besides the planning commission, which is statutorily administered serve at the discretion of the local board or town council.
Thanks, Clayton. Questions and comments from them?
Well, I guess we get an answer to certified local government.
Oh, yeah. Do we know, Lucy, if changing it this way has any effect on the certified local government, efforts?
Yeah, as far as I know, this change would not impact it. However, I am working with the National Park Service and History Colorado right now, so I can confirm that before the next meeting. But to my knowledge, it would not impact it.
And that's my understanding as well. If it did, there would be, you know, a majority of municipalities that inadvertently, you know, self decertified, and I don't think that would be the case.
There's just really, it's like getting up to best practice. It seems like.
I like the verbiage, I like the way it's written here.
And this would be consistent with our other committees too. This is how it's done with those as well.
We can be recalled.
Right.
Well, there's only a couple other committees that are looked. One of them's the planning commission, and that's controlled by statute. And then there's this committee, and then you have other committees that are standing committees, but they're not referenced. The procedures and administration of those committees are not referenced in our ordinance, and so they're by default would be kind of like this language. By default, they're just appointees and can be removed. The reason that this particular one had the potential to be problematic is because it did specifically state, and it mirrored the language for planning commissioners, that, you know, people could only be removed for just cause, which again could be problematic depending on the way you look at it. It's up, of course, this is up to the board. I think the memo makes it clear why you'd want to do this versus, you know, what the pros and cons are.
I also just want to note that this is really our only, like, quote unquote citizen committee. You know, we have the planning commission, but that's involves the county, and members are appointed.
The de facto members of the board. Yeah.
Right. Then those members are controlled by the planning commission. This is kind of our only committee like this. And when Clayton and I were talking about this, we said, what other, you know, committee does this need to extend to? And this was the only one that we identified.
Because all our other committees are working committees that are with IOC and staff. That makes sense. Okay. Is there any opposition? And Carl, I know you're online, so I want to make sure sometimes it's hard to jump in. If you have any comment here, feel free to speak up.
No, I don't. Thank you.
Thanks.
I move that we adopt ordinance 2025-14 as presented.
I'll second. Great. Motion by Jim, second by Lindsay. Roll call, please. Derek?
Okay, trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Schnicker,
Yes.
trustee Gardner,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Cranker.
Yes. And Lucy, it'd be great to just get confirmation on the CLG question, but to Clayton's point too, I think this sounds pretty standard across the board, so.
Okay.
The second.
Yep, will do.
Yeah. Feedback. Great, thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item 7.8, public hearing. This is the second reading of ordinance 2025-13, an ordinance of the town of Silverton repealing and readopting chapter 6, article 4 of the Silverton Municipal Code regarding the regulation and licensing of marijuana business establishments. Again, it's a public hearing. We'll hear from staff and Clayton. We'll have public comment. We'll close public comment and trustee discussion and deliberations. All right, Clayton, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to reference back to the first reading on this, and I know that the board is well versed on where we're at with this. This is the second reading of ordinance 2025-13. This would be repealing and readopting chapter 6, article 4 of the Silverton Municipal Code regarding the regulation and licensing of the marijuana business establishments. It has the entire code as presented and previously adopted at first reading. pending any questions or comments from the board, I'm not gonna go through the overview again. I think we're all on the same page here, but I do want to be able to answer any questions if any trustees have them.
Great, thanks, Clinton. All right, we'll open it up to public comment. We'll start with in-person, then we'll go online. Again, if you're online, please click the raise hand button and we'll promote you to panelists. Do we have any in-person public comment related to this public hearing on ordinance 2025-13? All right, we don't have any in-person public comment. Do we have any online?
We do not.
Okay, we'll close public comment and trustee discussion and deliberations, and Clayton's available for questions. Thank you, Personnel and Rights Committee and Clayton for working on this. We're getting it across the finish line. Yes.
My thoughts on this have not changed since the last approval, the first hearing. Excited to see this go through.
Good job. Questions, comments, maybe?
I agree with him. We say anything that has already been said.
All right, Carl. I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-13, an ordinance of the town of Silverton repealing and readopting chapter 6, article 4 of the Silverton Municipal Code regarding regulation and licensing of marijuana business establishments.
Great, moved by Amy, seconded by Jim. Roll call please, here.
Trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Schneider,
Yes.
trustee Gardner,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Cranker.
Yes. Great, thank you. All right. No more resolutions, guys. We made it through the resolution. All right, we're moving on to agenda item 7I. This is the CDOT contract for the Blair Street project. And I think I'll carry that to you, right, John?
Yeah. So anyway, Clayton was able to come up with the contract and, we had CDOT look it over. That was one of the mainstays for them to set eyes on it, and we gave us our blessing on it with PST. So it looks like we can move forward with PST for the design for the Blair Street revitalization project, but tongue twister. Yeah, and everything looked good with CDOT, so I think that was, since they're in kind of the driver's seat with this project, it was important for their sign off on the contract.
Thanks, John. And just a reminder for not necessarily the board, but for the public, so this is, this was an RFQ related to doing new designs that meet CDOT specifications, because we now have a CDOT grant to carry forward the Blair Street revitalization. So, in the packet on page 12204, that's where the contract starts. So this is the contract that, it sounds like was reviewed by Clayton and CDOT, and is what the town would sign along with the chosen contractor, PST. So questions from the board on the contract? The RFQ is in there, but again, that was already awarded, right? And it's there for reference. So questions from the board on the contract?
I don't have a question. I just think this is, it was great for the folks on Blair Street.
Yeah, finally.
They were keeping one going and pushing the ball for home was never easy, but we'll get them.
I guess was CDOT, like any edits or any comments on?
You know, there's one that I've seen from CDOT, but it was just, this language was good. It was a very bland comment. Nothing raised a red flag or anything like that, so.
Great, great. Thanks, John. Is there any kind of sense of timing on next steps? Like once this contract is approved, then it's signed with PST, and I don't quite remember, so I don't have to put you on the spot of timing, but just trying to remember what was their time frame for.
Well, I think time frame actually works out pretty good at what we're in this time of year. Once we get the contract signed, then we can start engaging the stakeholders at Blair Street. and starting getting their ideas, because we're gonna have a multitude of ideas. And so we're gonna have to get all those ideas and do a condensed version so that we can have PST go down that road, whether it's lights, concrete, all those things. So this is actually a good time after the holidays to start engaging those after the holidays and let people get through them. And then that way we can start talking, how we want to direct PST. And then they can start working on some of those initial designs. And it's going to be engagement throughout the winter months. So, hopefully, if everybody agrees towards spring, we have a good product and something that we can move forward with.
Great, thanks, John. So if you live on Blair Street or have a business on Blair Street and really care about this project, stay in touch with John.
Yep.
Because this winter will be your time to weigh in on, we're talking about kind of scope and scale. Great, let's see, I think we do need a motion to approve this contract. Would that be right, Clayton?
You're muted. You're muted.
I think we do, and if it's my fault that you don't have a go by, then I apologize. But I'm sure one of the savvy, experienced and wise members of the board can ad lib this.
That's great, we're safer to have a motion, so anybody want to take a crack at it?
Maybe the mayor pro tem.
Is painkiller kind of kick in yet?
How about this? I would entertain a motion to approve the CDOT contract for the Blair Street project with PSC.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Lindsay, seconded by Tyler.
There you go.
Roll call, please, Derek.
Trustee Halverson.
Yes.
Trustee Schnitker.
Yes.
Trustee Gardner.
Yes.
Trustee George.
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper.
Yes.
Mayor Cranker.
Yes. And I'll echo Jim's comment. It's really exciting to see this go through. Thank you, staff, for finding all the name. There are many times when I thought this project was just never going to get anywhere. So really appreciate all that.
And I want to say one thing real quick too. This is a good testament to Public Works and their leadership, because what drives these contracts and what makes it easy for me and what makes it easy for CDOT and third party, when we're working with other governmental agencies, is to see, a clean product, and it all is driven by that RFQ or RFP. And so making sure to put the work in up front on that is really important. And this was a really detailed and well thought out RFQ.
Way to go, Tom. Thanks for that feedback, lady. Good job, team. All right, talking about exceptional staff, we're moving on to local planning capacity grant amendment and budget considerations.
Great, so in 2024, the town was awarded the local planning capacity grant to fund a housing coordinator position within the town of Silverton. Through the IGA, this position serves as the housing authority director. Town opted into Proposition 123 in 2023. And when we did that, we said that we would create a expedited review process for planning applications. We adopted that with our land use code update, and that was well before the state deadline that we needed to do that. And so as a reward, they've offered $50,000 as a bonus to our existing grant agreement. In order to accept these funds, we need an amendment request letter, which is drafted in the packet. And since we're doing an amendment request letter to accept these bonus funds, it's also a good time to amend our match ratio. And adjusting our match ratio is necessary to align with the 2026 town budget. So town was originally awarded $85,000 for 2 years of salary for this position, and the town had to match 100%. So that's $85,000 from the town. I didn't start billing these funds until April of this year. And so the total budget was $170,000. In order to maximize the grant funds for 2026, I'm proposing that we request an amendment to the overall match percentage of 100% to 25%. And since we got that bonus, that brings the total grant up, which brings our amount down to $45,000. The reason behind this is that we talked a lot about this during the housing authority meeting about adjusting the ratio from 75, 25, 25, 75, etc. The way that it works out with these bonus funds and overall reducing the amount that we're matching is a simplification in how we report to how we request reimbursements from the state. And what I mean by that is basically we're going to simplify. We're going to say for the duration of this grant, we're going to have the same match ratio. We're decreasing our match amount. And if we didn't decrease our match amount, we would still spend the same amount of money in 2027. So we're just decreasing the match amount because it's an easier request and amendment to the grant agreement. But ultimately, if we had done like grant funds were 75%, town funds were 25% for 2026, we'd rapidly spend down the grant funds. We'd get to the same balance at the end of 2026. And we'd still have to commit. Let me see, I have it in here. 52. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah, 52,000 in 2027, like no matter how we did this. This isn't an unreasonable request because most communities that have been awarded this money, their total project match has only been 20%. So our 100% match is pretty ambitious, especially for our little budget. So keeping it above 20% at 25%, you know, isn't completely unreasonable. And this idea was proposed by this grant staff. It hasn't been like completely approved, so I may be coming back to you in January, but I think this is a good first effort. And yeah, I think we all know this, but we're really gonna have to pursue funding options next year. These funds we may be eligible to apply for them again. So we'll see. I hope we can just get through next year and then see what happens then. But happy to take questions. I will need a motion because this impacts future budgets.
In the housing authority meeting, we talked about the 50-50 split, and I mean, obviously that would impact the budget was passed, so that would be kind of funny, but one of the things we talked about was that would just make this pool of money last longer. Did you end up doing that math to see like what that would be?
No, but the budget was
Yeah,
okay. Gone. And that I will take responsibility for not. I just misinterpreted how these bonus funds would work. I figured we would just get them. So that is the number that I presented in the budget. And then that is not how that works out. So that was on me. But yeah, we still have funding for a year and a decent amount into 2027. So
the possibility to reapply, right? Questions from the board on what's list? There's no other options in it. Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, go for it.
Oh, okay. like to make a motion to execute the amendment letter for grant agreement LPC -24-023 to accept the $50,000 bonus funding and to amend the match to 25%.
Second.
Great, motion by Jim, seconded by Tyler, roll call please, Derek.
Trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Schneider,
Yes.
trustee Gardner,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Cranker.
Yes. Great, thanks, Anne.
Yeah, and if they don't approve that, I will be back.
We'll see you in the new year. All right, moving on to the added agenda item, which is agenda item 7K. This is the PCFC charging stations. Again, there's very brief memo, so it's in there, but I'll kick it over to John, and then we also have Daniel here to answer any questions that we might have. So go ahead, John.
Thank you. So when I come on board, I was stepping into a lot.
Welcome.
Yeah. At that point, the discussion for a charging station was looking like down at the visitor center. And so I've been working back and forth with Daniel and with the Blair Street project coming up. This might be the ideal opportunity to get it closer. One of my fears with the visitor center was, it's the visitor center. And how are we gonna get those people that are charging their vehicles to town? Whether it's to have a meal or whether it's to shop. So with this Blair Street project, I've been working with Daniel, trying to figure out a location. And I know that we can do this, we just gotta be very sensitive to the project that Blair Street is gonna be going through. So I think I think this is a great opportunity with the Blair Street project, which we're ripping up concrete. We're redoing a lot of design stuff there, and this is a good opportunity, and I don't wanna get too far down the road and lose the opportunity that this doesn't happen. I think it's a good thing for businesses, restaurants, the whole 9 yards. And I think we can incorporate it. I've already given Daniel instructions that the charging stations need to look like hitching posts.
There you go.
He said, great idea, but I don't know if it's gonna happen.
I love it.
So anyway, that's kind of the background, and then to present, continuing to move forward with this project. And hopefully we can get everything aligned within the Blair Street project and getting this incorporated to revitalize and make it, instead of a few spaces in one spot, and make it more convenient for the visitors that we do have. So.
Thanks, John. Danny, do you want to come up just real quick? I think one question I have is just kind of timing, sort of, when do we need to really be making decisions? And we know that funding for these kinds of things is changing. So curious, just if you have any insight to share on kind of timing and decision-making pressure or timeframes for the board.
Yeah, so really, the timing is now. And the reason is because we really need to try to get these in before tax credits expire, which is June 30th. So, which is just around the corner. Now, it doesn't mean that the whole Blair Street project has to be complete, but we need to be able to show that's at least, some of the equipment is installed. We've been working really closely with SMPA, and there's a lot of timelines to consider. We need to work, with permitting and getting everything. There's a lot of unintended groundwork to get done. And so we have Luce has been really helpful as far as helping to coordinate the review of a site license agreement that was actually provided, it was borrowed from the town of Fairplay, where we're also partnering to put in similar charging station, and I believe that was approved with just kind of the standard addenda for the contract. So really what we're trying to do is determine if this is gonna be a good fit for the town, and if so, that gives us everything we need. To work with CDOT, we have to get environmental clearances from them. This is a federally funded project, and any of those funds will expire, especially since the grant was awarded nearly 2 years ago.
Great, thanks for that, Danielle. Yeah, so questions from the board. It seems like we have decisions to make on citing, where to cite these. We've kind of gone around with that. And then, I have a couple questions. 2 questions I have, Lucy, for you, if you're there. One, in a project like this, is Helios the applicant or is the town the applicant? Like when we're going through planning with commission, et cetera, et cetera. And 2, if we wanted to pursue putting these on Blair, how putting on your historic corridor hat, how would that work for us in terms of just the process for the town or the applicant?
Yeah, that is a great question. So because these chargers are being placed or are proposed to be placed, on the sidewalk, which is technically the right of way, the typical land use application process and historic overlay district standards, wouldn't automatically apply. The board could, of course, choose to say we want to go through this process. But because it's in the right of way, it really is the jurisdiction of, of course, the town board but more directly public works rather than the planning department.
Okay, so for this application to do charging stations, we're not doing a land use application, we're doing more utility and public works. Permit.
Right. So this really is like a partnership between Helios and Public Works in the town rather than like a formal land use application. So rather than going through like an application process, I think what Helios and John are doing is kind of presenting a proposal of the location, and then the kind of agreement between the town and Helios by way of a contract.
Yeah, great. It's more a licensing agreement and conversation to use the town's right of way than it is a land use application. That's how I'm thinking.
Yep.
Hey, questions from the class?
Well, that was my final question on 2 locations. I know we've had various spots, like, cause the last map I saw was the Blair Street, but right in front of Lucy. What's the other location you're considering?
Well, there's another location that's just on the other side of the street, between the old arcade and the other place. Now, that presents a few issues too, because I don't think the town owns that.
Right.
But
The law.
Those are privately owned.
Yeah.
Those lots are privately owned.
privately owned. So, that brings in, can we do a utility easement? Is there some way there? And then again, today with Daniel looking at it on site, if you're looking at it easy, to the right-hand side between the Neasy building and the old Hummingbird shop, and I don't know if it's still old, that's what I call it, the old Hummingbird shop. There's about a 12-foot separation between the 2 buildings. The good thing is that's all gravel. There's no walkway there, there's no pedestrian pickups. And you could put them, because there is one little bit of a concrete pad on the back side of the sidewalk where you could set the actual units. So it's not actually in the sidewalks as far as a obstruction. It would be further back, and then we would figure out how to get the charging cords across, which there's a couple different ways we can do that to eliminate any hazard with the traveling public walking up and down concrete, the sidewalk. So, and looking at those, because on the right side next to the Eureka Station, or left side next to the Eureka Station, that's too much of that courtyard area. And although a lot of this is gonna be underground except for the units, I think both, me and Daniel agreed to the right side of Anisa, and then see if we could tuck it back there. Still gonna be visible, but not in your face.
Mhm.
Here it is,
Yeah,
gotta walk around the station.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's kind of. That's the premium spot there, in my opinion.
I've always been a big fan of putting them on Blair Street, because it supports kind of the economic development things I think we want to see on Blair. I think it allows people, to me, the whole reason of bringing in the charging stations is to have people parked and walking around town and spending their money. That's the goal of this. If we're not doing that, why are we doing this? And so having it on Blair Street creates one more opportunity for people to be on Blair, use Blair, and not just be drawn to Green. But I do know previously, we've been talking about this for 2 years, you know, folks did have comments on Blair Street. Like, how is this fit?
I'm sure we kitchen post, can we do that? Is that a possibility?
We absolutely could actually wrap these, and that's like a really creative, approach to take. There's two options. One has a screen. The idea was to leverage the screen to help draw people into different places. However, we can also go without the screen, and we really can wrap the whole thing, in whatever style. You know, we can work together and try and find a style that fits. It's a fun idea. They don't have to look like anything, right? They can be fun.
Can you imagine the cord as a rope? It's just like, come on, that's like a tourist attraction, I feel like.
They already think for Disneyland.
Yeah, Sheldon Sear like hit your kitchen post. Let's try to do something like that.
It's this kind of contrast of old and new for Blair Street, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. Is there opposition to Blair Street as a site? Because then we need to have conversation.
Yeah. And it's the best spot.
I have no opposition, and I know that we, in previous discussions. Have worked out the kinks with regards to the historic. Preservation of Blair, so I think this is fantastic. I'm putting it exactly where you said it doesn't keep the snow runoff between the two buildings, so it's good.
I was literally thinking about speed during that, like, that work.
We don't
already a mess.
It brings people.
It's a mess.
Run out, so.
Carl, I want to make sure you get a chance to weigh in here. Did you have any thoughts on the proposed hitching posts?
I think that we should make them fit in a way that makes sense.
That sounds like a very pressing response.
Make it look like an old gas station.
Right?
Gas tank.
A lot of good ideas.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a thumbs up, John, from Dana for moving forward with citing these on Blair Street. So do I don't think we don't have any, like, we're not talking about licensing agreement or contract, you know, all that. So this was just a move forward kind of staff direction.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, Luce has been great. We do have there's a contract for you to consider, but that can be the next steps. But we can start working on some creative, innovative designs that would tie some together.
That's great.
Thank
Thanks for coming. Hope you guys enjoy the street.
you.
Before we close out, Lucy, I want to make sure if you had anything else to add here with staff direction and where we're going.
No, I don't. Well, yeah, I guess on the contract side, we had a meeting with John a few weeks ago to review the contract. And that's been reviewed by Clayton, and he's given us the thumbs up. And so I guess next steps is just to get formal approval to sign off on that contract.
I mean, I think we could put on the agenda for January. Does that make sense, Lucy?
Yep, that sounds good. Daniel, does that work for your timeline?
Yeah, absolutely. This gives us, I think, enough so we can start working on some of there's a lot of work to do. So we can start working on that side and then obviously having to engage in the contract discussions.
Great, thank
And
you.
we have plenty of clean time between now and very.
Yes, so what we'll do is in parallel with reviewing the contract on your side, we'll start doing things, this CDOT takes a long time, they have to. Because this is federally funded, there's just certain NEPA requirements that take time, and I'll start working with that on the permitting and everything else, so just so we don't lose any of that momentum, so but then absolutely available if there's any discussions on the contract in the meantime, and then yeah, look forward to having that review, hopefully approved in January.
Great, so we'll keep the contract and the administrative process moving forward.
Yes, absolutely, so.
Okay, thank you. Thanks
All
for
right.
coming in person.
Yeah, absolutely, thanks so much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thanks, John, for adding this to the agenda. Lucy, anything else there? Good, we'll put this in the agenda for January, the contract.
Yeah, that sounds good. I will make a note to include that in the January agenda.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, we made it through our big agenda 7 business items. We're now in discussion direction. We don't have any items there, so committee reports. Wow, finance committee, that was a long time ago. On the 17th. All right, if you guys think of something while I'm told up. Like, no, it's not mine. Well, that's facilities and parks update.
Yeah, first.
I don't even think I took any notes on the finance committee. I think it was just reviewing the budgets. Yeah.
I have one thing, finance committee,
Yes, please.
so it was the excavator.
Oh, yeah, the finance.
Thank you.
Would you like me to give my pitch?
Yes, that would be great. That's right. The agenda was, yes. Go for it, John. Thank you.
You wanna go first? Number one was employee grievance request. Number two was public works equipment purchase. And number three was September sales tax report.
Good notes.
There you go, sir.
Thank you. You're up. So, I've been in negotiations with, Montrose. At the first of the year, Montrose bought a brand new excavator, and their old excavator, they are moving it out of their fleet. Well, equipment is one of the first things I identified as I come into this position here in Silverton, and the lack of a big machine is needed. I actually was able to go down and took Doug with me, and he looked it over and said, I can't find an oil leak on this. So this machine is a 2003, it's got 6,000 hours on it. I know the machine well personally, I've done a lot of ditch with it. But it has 6,000 hours on it. The hours, I'd say about half of those are idle hours. This machine would probably last the town 20+ years. It's in great shape. Got a bucket on it that's only about 3 years old. That's a big cost that's out of the way. Have to probably buy some lock tooth for it, minimal expense. And so with negotiations with the city of Montrose, they had Honan equipment from Grand Junction come down and give a go through of it and valued it at 48,000. And Montrose, since they kind of like me still, I guess. They went 80% of that value and are offering it to us. And it hasn't been put out to bid or anything for 40,000. And so I have come through my budget and I do have the money without going over anything this year. And they're just waiting on my yay or nay. And it will cost probably around $1,500 to get it transported over up here because it is oversized and I don't want to deal with the permits and all that. And I do have the money for that. I think this is a purchase that will really help Public Works, digging in the middle of the winter not relying on a small backhoe and taking 6, 8 hours to dig a hole where we could do it in a quarter that time, so. There's my spiel for it.
Yeah, so I think we'll probably have that purchase in the agenda sometime, I would think. Probably have a memo when you're ready to sit down. Yeah, we talked about the finance committee meeting, so yeah, go forward with it. And so,
So when do you need that from?
Well, as soon as possible, because I'd like to do it in 25.
so I guess, is that, so Melina, let's think about this here. What do we need to do to make this happen? With our purchasing policy. Let me think, how could we, do we need to make some, can we just give staff direction, or do we need to vote on this type of purchase? And Clayton, maybe that's a question for you. So in the finance committee, we chatted about this purchase. It's in the budget, but obviously it's over the $5,000 amount.
It is the
So-
over $5,000, but we do have the budget for it. Clayton, can John proceed with that purchase, or does the board need to make a motion on that?
Yeah, so it is budgeted, so we don't have to vote on the budget, which is easier. But because it is because of our fiscal policy, the board needs to approve it. So I would recommend a vote.
And can we do that in this agenda, or do we need to have a separate special meeting?
What is I'm deep into what is the agenda notice? I'm going back to the top. Hold on a second. I apologize.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
There's not just.
Yeah.
This was just under committee report, so typically we would put this as an agenda item, or.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think you can. I think
We can use that direction.
if time is of the essence, I don't think we're hurting anything. It's better to notice, and even if it's a verbal resolution, it's better to notice that you're not changing the budget. It's kind of strange because you're approving something that's kind of already been planned on, and it is something that I think that you can do kind of ad hoc here. But if it's not time sensitive, my advice would be to just wait and do it at the next meeting.
But our next meeting is until 20. Yeah. So it sounds like John would like to move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does the board feel about having a verbal vote now?
Yeah,
That's purchase.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to approve John's recommendation of purchasing the equipment from Montrose.
So moved.
Moved by Amy,
So,
second by Tyler. All right, roll call please, Eric.
Trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Schnicker,
Yes.
trustee Gardner,
Yes.
trustee George,
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper,
Yes.
Mayor Cranford.
Yes. Great, thanks for bringing it up, John. Good thing to remember. So, yeah. Next time we'll give us a memo and we'll vote on it.
I'm still learning my role.
So we're all working.
But thank you all very much. I think this is going to be a great addition.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for reminding us of that. All right, finance committee, moving on to the FPR committee.
Sure. Yeah, you can go for it. Take it. So it was our first Parks and Rec committee with Steve as the new director. He gave us a great report and update on the facilities, especially some maintenance needs to be done. We also talked about rate changes, which we approved in the consent agenda and the staff reports. And I guess the one thing that he put as a priority is for maintenance that I got, that it was the Kendall Mountain roof, that does really need to be replaced.
Thanks, Amy. I really appreciated Steve's approach to going building by building. I felt like it was kind of a good facilities overview that maybe we haven't had in a while. You know, each director that's had this role is kind of focused on different things, but it is facilities, park and recreation. So I've been on connected to facilities and parks almost since I started. I was like, oh, I've never had an overview of all the different things related to these buildings, and so I thought that was helpful, but the roof situation was. And you know, there's kind of, we had a lot of conversation around the value on sort of doing fixed short-term fixes or you know, phase fixes, but really this idea that as a whole, when you're talking about roofs, you're up and having to. So.
And how the Kendall Mountain roof is more important than this roof?
Well, no, I mean, we talked about Kendall Mountain Roof and we talked about this roof, but we have budgeted some for this roof, so.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know.
I see.
I don't know, Steve, if you wanna weigh in here anymore, but I think. I echo Amy's sentiment that the roofs really stood out in terms of deferred maintenance, so. Steve, did you have anything else you wanted to add there in terms of Kendall versus Town Hall roof?
You know, I'd say both and the phased approach is key. I think the North Valley is definitely significantly worse than the east, or well, yeah, the east, the south, or the west. East would be second. And then you've got the metal peeling up on Town Hall. That, you know, I think that's the next phase of that. But got at least the flat roof taken care of, and the skylight leak hopefully sealed, and then the bell tower is another, say, phase in the multi-phased approach.
Some folks up there during the day, man, it's great.
Yeah, the flat roof has been addressed.
Yeah, so the flat roof has been done. There's a new EPDM layer on that. And we're still working with the skylight. Hopefully we're not. But yeah, I had folks up there last week. There's some water found its way through. And as far as what's more important than the other, I feel like you'd maybe see the water damage possibly sooner on the North Valley of Kendall than you would, because of the thorough torch down up in the attic. You can kind of make a little swimming pool up there, I learned. But yeah, and then the list goes on. I think the chimney is another thing that really strikes me with the Town Hall. That needs addressed pretty darn soon. Just one chimney, most of the mortar is eroded away, and then the other chimney, it's quite striking. The mortar is there, but the bricks have eroded away, and that's also a safety type of thing as far as people below. And yeah, so that's about that, though. They got a good thorough run through.
Thank you. Yeah, we asked Steve where he would prioritize roof investment, and my notes said Kendall North Valley, west to prevent damage, west area for safety with roof avalanches, and Town Hall Northeast roof. So, and if you looked at the budget memo, the capital improvements plan had millions of dollars in it that we need to address. So, yeah. Something else we talked about was contracting with Paulette Church to do some grant writing, continue to pursue some of the grant writing to address the library, to look at Memorial Park and the visitor center. So she's still all working into that and potentially writing in some administrative costs for her time into those. But I think I remember the discussion we had was really the cost value for being able to have that capacity for some of these projects was really worthwhile. Yeah. Did you have anything else, or Carl, anything you wanted to add from the FPR meeting?
Nothing specific. I'm just really, I know we'll have a lot of further conversations about priorities of maintenance and deferred maintenance, but I'm really glad that these topics are getting some attention.
Thanks, yeah. And I would think, Steve, just in the future, you know, the review you gave to the FPR committee is great. And I think probably, you know, once Kendall's kind of clicking along, maybe putting on the agenda just an overview for the whole board, of kind of like, these are really the deferred maintenance issues at a high level. And I think that we need to start having those conversations about if and how we're gonna start setting aside money for these buildings.
Really like a spring cleaning week, where you get all of the deferred maintenance presentations.
Yeah, maybe spring, Steve. Or come to us sooner, but just having an overview I thought was really helpful to put it all into context. Because at the end of the day, we are a small community with a small budget and we have to prioritize, we have to triage. We can't invest in all of it at the same time. Anything else to add? No? Okay, one thing that wasn't on the list today, I participated in, I was our representative for the Southwest Colorado Council on Governments, or the Southwest COG. Laura and I traded on that. So that's kind of part of Region 9. Region 9 kind of subsumed that, so it's a sub board on that, but it's really all the county commissioners and elected town officials on that. And again, just a really great group to be a part of, to think about things from the regional perspective. So again, some of the big things they're working on is broadband and that whole, you know, our whole disconnect in the region. So every time I participate in a Region 9 meeting, I am just really reminded of what value they bring to the area. And how without them, we'd be so much more isolated and we can't really accomplish some of these bigger projects that really need to happen at a regional level. So really cheerleading for those groups, even though it's one other meeting to attend. So that was the path.
Is that like SMPA working through how to connect everything, or like?
No, that's more like trying to get fiber over Oak Creek Gap. Oh, like redundancy from Denver, you know, like the loop across the whole state. Yes. And Shaq Powers was promoted to deputy director with Region 9, so congratulations to him. And he's been such a great asset to support our community. And he also personally wrote to me to say he could move me during this transition time. He's having help, as did Patrick. So people are supporting us during this transition. Okay, any other committees that happened that we didn't know about? Okay. Anything for the open discussion or future agenda items? No, okay, I'm just still putting it out to the community. You'll see this in the paper. There'll be flyers around town, but there is a community reception on Thursday, December 18th from 5 to 6:30 at Kendall. And that is a chance to meet and greet with the 3 town administrator finalists. So if you want to see who might be the next town administrator, come to that. There'll be very light refreshments and a chance to kind of hear from the candidates, meet with them, chat with them, and fill out some feedback forms. And that whole process will be facilitated by the recruiters that we're working with. But come on out for Thursday, December 18th from 5 to 6:30 at Kendall. I know you all are very curious, so bring your curiosity. Anything else? Lots of things happening in town, all kinds of things happening. Municipal Mart, all of that. Town potluck, town and chamber potluck on Saturday. There's the town market. Lots of things happen. Okay. All right, last we have public comment. Do we have any more in-person public comment? Okay, do we have any public comment on Zoom? Again, if you're on Zoom and you'd like to make a public comment, please click the raise hand button. We'll promote your panelist.
No one on Zoom.
Okay, we will end close public comment, and the time is now 7:12, and we will adjourn the meeting. Yeah. Thanks, Steve. Thank you, Derek. Thanks, Melina. Thanks.
Thank you.
Evening, guys.
I suspect